So we've talked about it plenty of times at this point. There's similarities between Buggy and Rocks. We're going to be talking about them in this video, of course, but also we're going to be talking about like how the Cross Guild is kind of like becoming the new Rocks pirates in a way. And I only say that because, you know, the way they were formed and now all the similarities between Rocks and Buggy. So what do you think about just that similarity in general? Like, I didn't get to hear your thoughts on like the bounty poster reveal of Rocks and how it looks just like Buggy's. Like, what do you make of that?
I don't think that's a coincidence at all. It makes you wonder, did Buggy mimic Rocks' bounty poster for the notoriety? Or did the Marines look at Buggy and they're like, hey, kind of reminds me of Rocks, you know? Like, I heard a rumor of a guy who just amassed a bunch of, really strong criminals. It reminds me of Rocks. Or if this is like a simple coincidence and like, yeah, like Oda's hinting at something here. I think it could be that. Oda's just simply hinting that Buggy has a connection to Rocks. I do not think that Buggy is Rocks' son, though. I think that Buggy is simply a character that is falling so hard upwards that he's being compared to Rocks because of... I mean, the thing is, like, right, before we got the whole Blackbeard reveal, like, oh, Rocks is Blackbeard's dad, people were already talking about Buggy being a candidate for that, or Buggy being the new age version of Rocks, just because of Cross Guild. I know he only has, Crocodile and Mihawk right now. Technically, he has other heavy hitters if you count, like, I don't know, like Mr. 1 or Mr. 3 or something, but
yeah,
people are already assuming he's gonna get, like, Doflamingo, he's gonna get Gecko Moria, he's gonna get Porona, like, he's gonna get, like, all these, like, strong characters who don't necessarily like each other, but they're just working towards a common goal. And, it's easy to go to Blackbeard and say, oh, like, they're the same way, and that's true, but Blackbeard and Buggy, they're running this weird parallel. And I just thought about this too, but Blackbeard, it's so odd, Blackbeard has all these connections, he's interacted or at least talked about so many characters. He's never once talked about Buggy. Like, how does Blackbeard feel about the clown guy?
Exactly.
Why is he just letting Buggy slide? No comments, no fights, no, hey, Cross Guild's doing this. Nothing.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I don't know what to make of that. I thought about that too because I saw this really funny meme of it was like a manga panel of Blackbeard like talking to Buggy. He was like, "We don't have to keep up the act anymore, brother," or something like that. And then Buggy was like, "Oh, I was waiting to hear you say that." And he's like powering up, and I was like, and I thought about it. And I was like, I guess they never interacted really or talked about each other as far as I know. But I'm glad you brought up that the Cross Guild is like a random collection of guys that there's no real leader. They're all kind of just together because it makes sense, essentially. They're all trying to get their own individual goals via using each other. I don't feel like the Blackbeard pirates are like that. They do seem to have like camaraderie and respect for Blackbeard. It was Katarina Devon talking to Saturn, right? I really got that sense of that there. I mean, they're not all like the Straw Hats, of course. They're all bad people and sociopaths for the most part. But it seems like there's more of like a team dynamic than there was with Rocks Pirates, which I think parallels more to like the Cross Guild. And you were saying like, because we've talked about this, a couple of years ago, that Crocodile and Moria are probably going to join because of that panel that we saw in chapter 0 where they're all like in order viewing Roger's execution. So that would just make them even more like the Rocks Pirates because of all of these incredible powerhouses that randomly came together. Blackbeard Pirates not really like that. They are powerful, but they're not like Whitebeard and Shiki and stuff. And they do need a woman, the Cross Guild, if you wanted to parallel more to the Rocks Pirates, and then I guess that's where Hancock could come in, right?
People hate that idea. I bring up Hancock and Cross Guild and people are like, she would never side, but I mean, the thing is, like, until Hancock finds Luffy, she's probably gonna join. And it's one of those things, too, it's like, yeah, like, I get it, right? Boa Hancock with Cross Guild, like, why would any of these people follow Buggy? But the answer just comes down to the fact that it's convenient, like, you go back 200 chapters ago, tell somebody that Mihawk is gonna follow Buggy the Clown, they're gonna laugh at you, right? So I don't think any theory like that's off the board. And yeah, like I think if Boa were to join just for a little bit, mind you. I think it would like help parallel the Roxy's Event connection even more. And it's like you said, like, yes, the Blackbeard pirates are like the Rock pirates as well. But the problem with the Blackbeard pirates is that we don't really know that. Like, the audience doesn't really know those characters that well. Whereas Cross Guild, like, whenever he gets a big name, it's like, oh my god, it's X character. Like, I remember them from 400 chapters ago. They're my favorite. But, you know, we hear Blackbeard gets, you know, Shiryu's a good one. I think people like Shiryu generally, but do like Basco Shot. Like, oh my god, Blackbeard Basco Shot. It's like, who the hell is this, right?
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, sure, he's legendary in the world, but I mean, we don't know him. You know, it's not like when Rox is revealed to have Whitebeard or Kaido or Big Mom. It's not that same effect. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, and Rox's recruitment was like methodical, and he like individually sought out these people. Blackbeard was kind of just like, oh, prison break, you guys, you know, join my crew. But as for the Cross Guild, obviously it's very deliberate, at least so far, because it was like Crocodile reached out to Mihawk, right? When they were getting raided by the, or when Mihawk was getting raided by the Marines once they abolished the warlord system, right?
Yeah, I think that's another big topic you bring up too. Like, when you think about Cross Guild versus the Blackbeard Pirate, and how people think they're going to interact with Luffy and the gang, and even Shanks, you know, people have always said, oh, like, how does Zoro fight Mihawk? You know, like, does he just walk up and say, hey, let me fight Cross Guild's #1 soldier? Like, it was odd. So people always thought that Buggy or Shanks would bring back Davy Back fights. Shanks because, you know, Luffy wouldn't want to kill the red-haired pirates or, you know, seriously fight them. So they're like, oh yeah, maybe Luffy and Shanks do a Davy Back fight. That's been on the table for the longest time. And same with Cross Guild. You know, people look at Buggy and they're like, yeah, he could probably do a Davy Back fight. He's probably good at games. He's underhanded. Yeah, maybe that's how we get a Davy Back fight between the two characters, and then Zoro just fights Mihawk there. But the thing is that nobody's ever said, oh, Blackbeard's gonna Davy Back fight somebody. It's like, no, like that's never been a theory, or at least a theory I've seen. So yeah, like, you know, Buggy has been tied with these games. He is like the circus master. So if he did also do Davy Back fights eventually, I think that would be fitting.
Wow.
Maybe
no,
like,
I think it should be Luffy. I think that would be amazing. If the Cross Guild does wind up fighting the Straw Hats, which I don't know if they will at this point because of the way everything's converging in the final war, but if they do, and it's like a Davy Back fight, I think that would be amazing because it would subvert expectations. We wouldn't be like fatigued by, you know, the sequential fights that every arc has. And then there could be some twists. You know, maybe one of the Straw Hats comes over to the Cross Guild. I mean, it wouldn't really matter at that point because we're at the end of the series. So it's not like, oh my god, they're going to be there forever. It's only going to be like, you know, 2 or 3 years or something before the end of that, theoretically at that point. But yeah, Blackbeard not doing the Davy Back fights as far as we know. Although he does want to take over Hachinosu. And then finally, Buggy does have a goal. He does want to go after the One Piece, and going after the One Piece obviously involves, you know, getting involved with Emu at some point, one way or another. So that could fulfill Rox's prophecy of him returning. I talked about that before. I'm sure you did too, how when he said to Emu that he'll be back right here, you know, it's essentially going to be like Blackbeard fulfilling, you know, carrying on his will. But it also could be Buggy as well.
Yeah, what's really funny if that were to happen, if Buggy were to run into Emu, is that Emu would be so caught on the left foot, because Emu had, wanted posters of Blackbeard and Luffy in his room, you know, Vivi and Shirahoshi were also pictures he had, but never once did Emu think about Buggy or talk about Buggy or have a Buggy poster. So it's like, man, how does Emu feel about this guy? I feel like a lot of heavy characters in One Piece kind of sleep on Buggy.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it, right? I mean, he's kind of a loser when you boil it down, but he'll shock you, man. You know, Buggy, he's scary.
Yeah, he's like a wild card. He's like a powerless wild card. He's really interesting. And I think that would be a great way to one up all of these big things that Oda has for Buggy. Like, he always has a big reveal for Buggy. Like, oh my god, he's a warlord. What? That doesn't make sense. What? He's a Yonko now? And then the one after that is like, oh, he confronts Emu. And I don't know, even does something significant against Emu, but I don't know. We'll see. That's pretty much it for the Rocks Pirates paralleling, at least in my opinion, to the Cross Guild, which will further have more parallels between Buggy and Rocks. But let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. Check out Sai's channel. Have the link in the description as always. And have a great day. See you in the next one.
Peace out.